Hello and welcome. My name is Kyle Nielsen, and this is How You Level Up, a podcast where I ask questions to help you become your best self. Today we ask, what is the drama triangle? How does it work, and when does it come into play? The drama triangle is a model of human interaction developed by Stephen Cartman in the 1960s to explain the psychological dynamics at work in difficult and confrontational situations. So it's considering three perspectives, right? We've got a triangle, and at each point in the triangle is a victim, a rescuer, and a persecutor. At any given time, an individual may take one or more of these roles in an effort to resolve a conflict with another person. The drama triangle, then, is a distinction to help you identify what role you might be taking and how it affects your interactions with others, allowing for a better understanding of your communication. So, who are the victim, rescuer, and persecutor? Well, in the drama triangle, the victim typically takes a passive stance in conflicts, often resorting to helplessness or passivity. They may claim they are powerless and unable to resolve the situation themselves, delegating responsibility to another person or entity. Think of a person who frequently says they have no control over what happens to them, that they are a pawn that is moved about, and they're just happy to be there. Victims often use silence or avoidance as a way of dealing with conflict, as well as making themselves out to be the victims by playing on other people's sympathies. Ultimately, playing the victim leads to unhealthy relationships with others, and the victim normally has an inability to resolve conflict constructively. So, now the rescuer's role in the drama triangle is to provide support and relief to the victim. They often take on a passive-aggressive stance, appearing to be helpful, but ultimately enabling unhealthy behavior in the victim by shielding them from dealing with the conflict themselves. If you're a rescuer, you might think that you're only helping someone who cannot do the job themselves, and that you're saving them from the trouble of doing some task or hearing some negative feedback. The rescuer might also become a martyr, sacrificing their own well-being by attempting to help the other person. This leads to the classic case of building resentment down the line. And the persecutor's role typically takes a more active stance in conflicts, usually as an aggressor. They may use verbal put-downs or threats to gain control over others and can be quite manipulative. Persecutors often blame others for their own problems instead of taking responsibility. They don't like to take responsibility for their actions and behaviors, so think of the person who's always blaming others, who always says it's someone else's fault. This behavior can lead to toxic relationships and an inability to work constructively towards a resolution. So let's look at some examples to further illustrate each role. Again, we have the victim, rescuer, and persecutor. Example number 1. Imagine two coworkers at a job have been told to collaborate on a project together. One of the coworkers is passive-aggressive and manipulative, whereas the other is eager to help and takes on most of the work. The passive-aggressive coworker plays the role of persecutor by winning arguments through manipulation, refusing to compromise, and insisting on their vision for the project. Meanwhile, the other coworker attempts to please their passive-aggressive counterpart, leading to them playing the role of the rescuer by offering solutions or taking on responsibility more than necessary for fear that they will be rejected if they don't comply. Now, their passive-aggressive counterpart, the persecutor, becomes the victim, as they are not held accountable for their words or actions, yet are given undeserved sympathy. The dynamic can make it difficult for both parties involved to form positive relationships with others due to mistrust, or feeling like they must constantly be fighting against one another. Example number 2. When we look at the drama triangle, we can see it in a parent, their child, and their spouse. In this case, one parent may be playing the role of persecutor by having unreasonable expectations of their child and berating them when they fail to meet those demands. The spouse will then step in as the role of the rescuer by trying to mediate disputes or taking responsibility for tasks that could have been done by the first parent. The child then unwittingly takes on the role of the victim, as they cannot fulfill either one of the demands from the persecutor parent due to their lack of age and lack of experience, and are thus stuck in a powerless middle ground, constantly trying to navigate between two conflicting forces. Identifying which role you are in the drama triangle can be challenging, as it requires self-awareness and an ability to identify your habits, behaviors, actions, and how they affect others. Ask yourself, how often do I find myself in a conflict, or a situation where I'm helping someone else avoid a conflict? If your answer is that you're just trying to fix other people's problems instead of addressing the issue head on, then chances are you are playing the rescuer role. Ask yourself, do I use language that people have told me is strong or demanding? Have I heard myself recently blame others for some of my own problems and issues? If your answer is that those people were soft and they could toughen up, or that the fact and the reason why you have an issue is really someone else's problem, chances are you may have adopted the persecutor role. Ask yourself, do others make decisions while leaving me feeling powerless? Do I feel like I'm stuck between two conflicting forces where I'm dismissed from one side and on the other, they're always offering me support? If your answer is that the first person was busy and just didn't have enough time to hear you out, and that the second person is just trying to be helpful and you really appreciate it, you might be playing the role of the victim in this situation. It's important to take care not to stay in any of these roles for too long, as they can lead to unhealthy relationships and outcomes. And if you're playing any of these roles, what do? On the flip side of the drama triangle is the empowerment triangle. It's an alternative way of looking at relationships and resolving conflicts. This model proposes that individuals have the ability to take control of their lives and shape their own outcomes, while also taking responsibility for their actions and learning from them. The empowerment triangle consists of 3 roles: the coach, the challenger, and the creator. In the empowerment triangle, the coach, formerly known as the rescuer, can still help others, but instead of doing the work for them, the coach helps a person identify what needs to be done, and then empowers the person to take ownership of their actions and offers guidance on how to resolve conflicts. The coach is no longer a rescuer because they are teaching the person how to resolve their own issues, challenges, or conflicts. The coach provides guidance and support as the person they are instructing approaches and works through difficult situations. They can help build trust by modeling healthy behaviors and positive interactions, allowing for a safe space where everyone can listen, share ideas, and make decisions together. In the empowerment triangle, the challenger, formerly known as the persecutor, is responsible for prompting reflection and helping participants to think differently, not by blaming and judging others, but instead by helping people push their boundaries and explore outside perspectives. This allows a group of people the challenger speaks with to explore alternatives and discover opportunities. Challengers are typically individuals who are unafraid to ask difficult questions and take on hard tasks to get the best results. It is important that they feel comfortable doing this while also ensuring everyone's comfort and participation throughout the process. And in the empowerment triangle, the creator, formerly known as the victim, is the individual who helps develop creative solutions for conflicts and obstacles. They are responsible for coming up with new ideas, approaches, and strategies that move issues forward. To be a creator, an individual needs to be resourceful, open-minded, and innovative. Creators need to be able to listen and interpret what participants are saying so they can come up with viable solutions that address all parties' concerns. So are you playing a role in the drama triangle? Do you plan to swap out your role for one in the empowerment triangle? What do you think you need to do to get there? What situations, conversations, or things have come to mind while learning about these two triangles? And how might you approach challenges and conflicts next time you're in them? Thank you for listening to another episode. If you're enjoying the show, open up the app you're listening to this on and hit the like or subscribe button and give a 5-star rating. At least twice a week, you'll find a new episode asking you a new question, so you can strengthen your emotional independence, improve your communication skills, and upgrade your personal philosophy. So if there's a question you'd like me to dive into next, send it to any of these social media accounts connected in the show notes here. This is all about how you level up.